the 31 parts of the body contemplation. And this is a wonderful practice to help us, particularly if we are, like most of us, liable to be attracted to certain aspects of this body or other bodies. And, you know, there's nothing in lay life wrong with having intimate relationships. Sexual activity is part of life. And there's nothing wrong with it, in a sense. But it's very helpful for us to consider attraction, the nature of attraction, what it is we're attracted to, and, you know, to kind of unpack it, and to also, if we're overcome with lust and passion as a habit, or frequently enough that this is something that is agitating for the mind, then we have this incredible tool to help us to cool down. There are times when it's appropriate to feel passionate towards another person, and there are times when it's not appropriate. And this is a wonderful way to help us to come out of desire and to calm and cool and come back to a place of equanimity. And of course, for monastics, this is our practice. We've given up on any kind of sexual activity. We're celibate in every sense of the word. And this is a way for us to chart our course, because it doesn't stop us from being sexual beings. You know, we don't immediately sort of switch off any kind of sexual energy, but we can work with it, and we can channel, and we can kind of sublimate these strong energies in the body. And this is a way that really helps us to clarify, to see things clearly, to really recognize, first of all, for this body that we're carrying around, what is its true nature? How is it really? It's not to lack appreciation at all for the body, because this is also our temple, isn't it? But it's to recognize that vanity and conceit and attachment to the body are actually just a whole lot of dukkha for us. And this contemplation is a way for us to begin to step away from that suffering, you know, to extricate ourselves from delusion. The very standard, oft repeated 31 parts of the body contemplation that we find in the Pali Canon in various places, and most particularly in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. The Buddha gave us all these different ways to contemplate the body. And this is one, you know, common and valuable practice. 31 parts obviously doesn't cover all the different body parts. It doesn't mention the genitals at all. It doesn't mention the brain, actually. There are lots of organs that are not mentioned, the ears, the eyes, and so forth. So this isn't a comprehensive list. We can add to it. We can make it your own. Figure, you know, what is this body made of? And we don't have to stick necessarily to this list. But it's fine as it is, as it stands. It's good enough. There's probably a reason why there are 31 parts on the list from the Lord Buddha. There are also, in the Buddhist cosmology, aren't there 31 planes of existence? And there's probably some kind of mirroring there. We can consider the macrocosm and the microcosm in 31 different ways. Who knows? It could be that there's a relationship there. Over time, it became 32 parts of the body. The brain got added in at some point. Quite useful, quite good to consider the brain. Another water element, fluid aspect of the body, held in and protected by the skull. This is another good object of contemplation for us. But whether you include that or not, it doesn't really matter. Let's consider for ourselves the body parts. And either one can learn this list, recite it, learn it off by heart and use it in our practice. Or one can consider how would you like to divide and dissect this body. You can get an anatomy book. There's marvelous pictorial representations of the body nowadays, aren't there, from corpses, photographed very brilliantly. There's the Bodyworks exhibition that many people have seen, Plasticination, created by the German scientist whose name I can't remember, who figured out how to preserve bodies in a remarkable, lifelike way through injecting some kind of plastic into the blood vessels at the time or shortly after the time of death. So we have these exhibitions, don't we, going around the world of body parts, and how valuable, how wonderful, because that really does something for people, I think. Many, many people are interested to go for all sorts of different reasons, perhaps, but they certainly would learn something very valuable, I think, don't you, from just looking at bodies and considering. We quite naturally relate them to this one, and a way of opening the doors to a more sincere, grounded, authentic way of relating, of perceiving the body. The Buddha spoke on many occasions about the 31 parts of the body. There's a really famous sutta that many of you will be familiar with, where he's talking to his son, Rahula. Rahula was a bit prone to conceit. He was probably very good looking. You know, his father was very good looking, the Buddha, we're told. He had this wonderful complexion, this very healthy body. He was quite tall. He was perfectly proportioned, and he was most of his life. He was very fit. And his son probably looked like the Buddha. And anyway, he was quite conceited about his physical form when he was a teenager. And how many of us remember as teenagers obsessing about our bodies one way or another? For some of us, wanting to make them more beautiful, make much of them, for others agonizing over body parts that we felt were somehow inadequate or abnormal, looking in the mirror a lot, getting into hairstyles and clothes and so forth. That's very normal, isn't it? Well, the Buddha's son was a teenager monk, novice monk, and perhaps he had that kind of going through puberty, that kind of perhaps quite natural attention to the body, because for kids, isn't it, as the body changes, it's really quite bizarre for us. It's quite strange to be in that body that's growing so fast and developing sexual characteristics and becoming something quite different from the simplicity of childhood. Quite poignant for us, really. Anyway, the Buddha gave Rahula this teaching because Rahula was getting a bit caught up in the seeming apparent beauty of his own body. And so there's a way that we can use this contemplation. People who are beautiful can be very adversely affected by that, can't they? And sometimes really love that and sometimes really hate it because of the attention that they receive. My best friend at school was really beautiful, is really beautiful still, but much older now, of course. But when we became, sort of 15 or 16, I can remember that everything changed for her, because she would walk down the street and people would be looking at her. And she noticed, of course, and everyone was telling her that she had this remarkable physical beauty. And it was a burden and a trial for her, above all, I would say. So it's interesting, isn't it, how these standards of beauty or ugliness are very predominant in our world. Fashions and models and size zero and all of that. We can reflect on the ludicrous nature of these kind of obsessions with body and how surface deep they are. And to be able in adult life to move away from these things is quite easy. But for young people, it can be really quite challenging. I'd like to read you another sutta that I have been considering on this topic. A sutta from the Sutta. It's in verse form, and it's a brilliant one. It's called Vijaya Sutta, victory. Vijaya means victory. And the victory in this sutta is the victory over desire for the body. So if you'd like to continue to meditate, observing the body, relaxing and listening with the whole body, I will read this sutta. Vijaya Sutta, victory teaching. Walking and standing, sitting and lying down, extending and contracting the limbs. These are the movements of the body, linked together by sinews and bones, plastered over by flesh and hide, and covered over by skin. This body is not seen as it is. It's full of guts and belly, liver and bladder, heart and lungs, kidney and spleen, spit and snot, sweat and fat, blood and synovial fluid, bile and grease. Then in 9 streams, the filth is always flowing. There's muck from the eyes, wax from the ears, mucus from the nostrils. The mouth sometimes vomits, bile and sometimes phlegm, and from the body, sweat and waste. Then there is the hollow head, all filled with brains. Governed by ignorance, the fool thinks it's lovely. And when it lies dead, bloated and livid, discarded in a charnel ground, the relatives forget it. It's devoured by dogs, by jackals, wolves, and worms. It's devoured by crows and vultures and any other creatures there. A wise person here, having heard the Buddha's words, fully understands it, for they see it as it is. As this is, so is that. As that is, so is this. They reject desire for the body inside and the body outside. That wise person here, rid of desire and lust, has found the deathless peace, nibbana, the imperishable state. This 2-legged body is dirty and stinking, full of different carcasses, and oozing all over the place. But still, it is cherished. And if on account of such a body, someone prides themselves or looks down on others, what is that but failure to see? Ewan. So the important thing to say at this juncture is that this is not an encouragement to dislike the body, to turn away from the body, to feel disgusted, actually, or repelled by the body. It's more like an opportunity to balance things out for us. If one is already, appalled by this body, disgusted by this body, then these kind of contemplations are not really necessary. It's probably better for such a person to develop a heart of loving kindness, to develop compassion. That would be the right sort of balancing for such a person. But many of us, if not most of us, are less inclined to be disgusted by the body and more perhaps attracted here and there to bodies, kind of probably fairly neutral about our own, especially as we get older. Maybe there's aversion if there's pain or discomfort, or the body's not functioning as well as it used to. But on the whole, we're fairly neutral towards the body. Whether there's a lot of desire or there's a fairly neutral feeling, these contemplations are very helpful for us. It's a way of opening and allowing ourselves to just rest in what's real, just be present to what's actually this physical experience. I was quite fortunate as a young person. I did medicine at university, and I got to have these quite unusual experiences, I suppose, compared to most people, which is to dissect a body. And we had a very obviously generous donor, somebody who'd passed away and who'd left his body to medical science. We had a room full of corpses, and my particular corpse that I was able to dissect was a gentleman who'd passed away, a very big and tall person, which was lucky for me because there was more to work with. It was easier than having a very small body or a compact body. But the extraordinary opportunity that it was to open it up and to really see what's there, day after day after day, with the book and kind of trying to tease out the actual anatomy. But far more significantly, in a way, it was this hands-on experience of what it is to be around dead bodies and what the body is made of. And then later on, some of you may have had this opportunity, but as medical students, we had the chance to go to postmortems and see how, the body is sort of forensically dissected in order to find out when there's a question about the cause of death. What happened? Why did this person die? What was the cause of death? And that was also very helpful for me, for us as medical students. We really grew up to see how it is, to open up a body that's not very long ago passed away. The intense sensory experience that it is on every level, the smell, the sight, the sounds. They sort of saw off the skull, as you probably know, and bring down the skin. And so you see the skin as this very thin layer, unformed, and then the skeleton underneath, and open up the brain and so forth. And I'm really grateful for having had these opportunities, because it's a reality check. And it didn't stop me falling in love with people and having sexual relationships. It didn't traumatize me. No, it was something like a very valuable understanding of the way things are. That probably was part of one of the things that led me to want to explore further the Dhamma. You know, you get to see the Dhamma of the body as a medic, and in all sorts of other fields too, to see bodies in different states. People in the army, people who witness trauma, accidents and so on. It's a very, very big shift from seeing a healthy body to seeing a body that's been in a car accident or that's been injured in some way. It's very powerful to see what is this body really. And of course, its nature is such that we can't delude ourselves for very long when we begin to investigate the Dhamma, that this is in any way me or mine. We can appreciate these bodies. We can appreciate their health when we have health. We can appreciate the opportunity to be embodied, can't we? Because to be embodied is to be able to observe and contemplate the four Satipaṭṭhānas, to experience body as body, feelings as feelings, mind as mind, and Dhamma as mental contents as mental contents. This is our doorway. This is our gateway to Nibbana. And so this human life, as we're told by the Buddha, such a precious opportunity. We can have great gratitude for these bodies and gratitude to our parents for this life. And so, you know, there are many ways to contemplate the body. And I've just wanted to introduce tonight this way of dividing, dissecting, and observing, contemplating the body part by part. Use this practice. See how it informs the heart, informs the mind. See if it works for you. To have this practice work for you is to notice a certain degree of dispassion arising, a certain degree of peace, of letting go, of cooling down. This is a benefit. A way of finding this practice doesn't work for you would be if it makes you feel averse towards this body, upset. If it gives you a sense of despair or depression, then this isn't a practice for you. You don't need it. You need to do something else. Practice metta, practice observing the breath, and so forth. Of course, we all know the story probably at the time of the Buddha. There was a whole group of monks, of bhikkhus, who were given this instruction by the Buddha to practice contemplating the 31 body parts. And they got a bit carried away and became very averse to the body and ended up actually doing a kind of mass suicide. And the Buddha came back and asked, where have all the monks gone? And he was told, well, they were so appalled and disgusted by these bodies that they decided the best thing they could do was to dispatch them, dispose of them, put an end to it all. And the Buddha said, oh, foolish men, how could they be so misguided? He then gave the monks who were left, who'd witnessed all of this, he told them to stop contemplating the 31 body parts and to observe anapanasati instead. Contemplate the breath. We have to be wise about our practice, don't we? We have to be skillful. At the end of the day, we're all our own teachers, aren't we? And we have to discern what's good for me, what works for me. If I'm a person who's full of sensual desire, and I get carried away and kind of agitated with lust so much of the time, this is a practice for me. If I'm somebody who is full of aversion, I hate my life, and so forth, then this is not a practice for me, and we can decide for ourselves. But it's a really good contemplation to consider, to give some time for, and to see how it works for you.